Attorney Marcel Palomar, Chairperson, HO-BAC-PTMC. Laila Martinez, Vice Chairperson, attending via Zoom. Attorney Maria Yasmin De Los Santos, regular member, attending via Zoom. Engineer Raylan Parafina, regular member, attending via Zoom. Attorney Pimo Elvinaz Shosana, regular member, attending via Zoom. Attorney Rigel L. Cabay, regular member. And Acting Court Manager Elizalde Olson, provisional member, attending via Zoom. Likewise, we have in attendance the headed members of the Technical Working Group, headed members of the tax Secretariat. Also in attendance are the prospective bidders. We have from Prudential Customs Brokerage Services Incorporated, Mr. Bienvenido P. Vasco, Ms. Wendy L. Sonza, Ms. Mary Ann Pineda, Attorney Marcos Arcando G. Lauron, and Ms. Elvira R. Evora attending via Zoom. We also have representative from Asian Terminals Incorporated, Mr. Adrian Edward A. Baking, attending via Zoom. Mr. Popoy Marcelino attending via Zoom. Attorney Cecil Agatep and Attorney Chami Dato, both attending via Zoom. Also, we have representatives from Onshore, Mr. Albert Maligaya and Attorney Jake Doctor.
Thank you, President Forgoy, the Chair of the Justice Person Forum. HO-BAC-PTMC number 004-2020 come forward. Secretary, what is scheduled today?
Mr. Chair, we have two items in our agenda for today. First is the approval of minutes of the previous BAC meetings. HO-BAC-PTMC number 002-2020 dated February 6, 2020, and HO-BAC-PTMC number 003-2020 dated October 16, 2020. Second in our agenda is the private conference on the Port Terminal Management Contract for Port of Puerto Princesa.
Okay. Previously, we had in our agenda the presentation of approval of the terms of reference for the port management contract for Port of Abaco, asking for information of the members of the NIMA. We were the port manager of the PMO over these ports notified us yesterday of the impending typhoon and requested rescheduling. So we will be rescheduling the presentation of the terms of reference. So unless there are any objections, let's proceed to the first item on our agenda, the approval of the minutes of the previous BAC meeting.
Mr. Chair, comment lang sa minutes noong February 27. The number 5, approval of the terms of reference for Porto or MOC. Puerto or MOC yung nakalagay. It should be Ormoc City.
Is correct. Second natin. Hindi na tanggal mo. Well, other than that, are there any other comments from the other members of the staff? Okay, but the pleasure of that.
I move for the approval of the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
It has been moved to second approve the minutes of the previous BAC meeting. There any addition thereto? Hearing none, the minutes of HO-BAC-PTMC number 002-2020, held as February 27, 2020, as corrected, the minutes of HO-BAC-PTMC number 003-2020, held on October 16, 2020, are to be approved as corrected. Let's proceed to the next item on our agenda, the previous conference, Secretariat.
For the pre-bid conference for the Port Terminal Management Contract for the Port of Puerto Princesa, the project was advertised last November 3, 2020 in Manila Times and posted on the PPA website as well as a conspicuous place in the PPA premises. The concession period for the project shall be 15 years with a minimum concession fee of 2,360,476,352 pesos and 9 centavos. We have prospective bidders, Prudential Customs Brokerage Services Incorporated, Asian Terminals Incorporated, and Onshore.
Thank you, Madam Secretariat. The floor is now open for comments from the prospective leaders. Can you call them individually?
For Prudential Customs Brokerage Services Incorporated, may we know if you have any questions?
This is about the invitation to bid for Puerto Princesa. Are we not discussing this? Okay, thank you. Our questions are very basic because we are aware that different parks have different rules or regulations to follow. So we would like to be clarified on certain very basic matters. Number one is on page 1 of the invitation to bid. We saw that we noticed that the bird management is not included. While PPA Admin Order 3-16 specifies that the contractor shall manage and operate the port, provide cargo handling and related services to include but not limited to the following. Number 5 of that admin order is birdside operation. Does this mean that bird management is not included in birdside operation?
Thank you, Dr. Ingrid.
For the first clarification, request for clarification of the PCDSI, please inform that the vendor reference template forms part of the technical documents as indicated in section 12 of PPA Administrative Order 12-2018. The terms of reference provides that the services to be provided include, but not limited to, the following: container terminal management, passenger terminal management, stevedoring services, waste and shore section facility management, porterage services, bagging services, raw cargo handling services, raw, raw cargo services, parking storage, water distribution services, security services, ancillary and other related services. Further, Section 37 of the Administrative Order 12-2018 provides that all other policies, rules, and regulations issued by the authority or parts thereof, to the extent that the same is in conflict or inconsistent herewith, may be amended, modified, or repealed.
Thank you for the clarification. So it's not included. Okay. The next question I would like to ask or clarify is Section 10.1 of the instruction to leaders. Do we have to attach all of the certificate of accreditations that a certain terminal operator has already received from PBA? Marami yan eh. A certificate of accreditation as a terminal operator, as a cargo handler, as a PTP operator, etc., etc. Do we have to attach all?
Technical working group answer the question that can give it out in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If the bidder already secured PPA accreditation certificate for port terminal management, the same would suffice. If not, the bidder must submit PPA accreditation for all the services as enumerated under the terms of reference.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, good afternoon po. For clarification lang din po, on Section 10, should all pages of the audited financial statement and income tax return be stamp received with CIR?
Mr. Chair, basically, ma'am, one page now will suffice kung sa pag-stamp media, just indicated doon yung pagkaka-receive media.
Okay, thank you. And, sir, follow-up question lang po. What is the acceptable proof of electronic filing?
If filing and payment is made through EFTS, the proof is the confirmation, the filing reference number generated by the system. Well, if the filing is through EDIR, the offline mode, it's the confirmation through email, the tax return receipt confirmation generated from the DIR through email.
Okay, sir. So electronic filing reference and the payment confirmation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you po.
Mr. Chairman, question from ECDSI. With regard to the pickup license from ECDSI, Mr. Chairman, sorry. With regard to the pickup license, do we have to submit the original or certified copy of such license?
Copy of the pickup license or will suffice, but subject to presentation during the post qualifications if by the winning bidder.
Just to clarify, your Mr. Chairman, so we can just attach a photocopy and then for comparison during the post qualification.
Yes.
Thank you. Follow-up question also on the pickup license. If there is any renewal for the pickup license, is it sufficient to submit a proof of online application for the renewal of such pickup license?
Since yung procedure dito is lifted from the Form RA 9184, eh, hindi allowed yung mga temporary or renewal, kailangan yung license mismo.
Is there a limitation as to the number of ports that a nominated party can undertake for infrastructure projects of the PTMC?
Dr. Ruth, there is no limit to the number of nominated parties as long as the nominated party of the prospective bidder is not the same of the nominated party of another prospective bidder of the same subject for.
Thank you. Again, with reference to the appointment or nomination of the engineering entity, is there a prescribed form that we need to submit acceptable to the BAC?
There's no prescribed.
So, does it have to be a public document, meaning does it have to be notarized, or just a private document appointing or an agreement between the parties sufficient for this purpose?
Yes, sir, it should be notarized.
Also, on the regard to the engineering entity, is the engineering entity required to submit a certification of accreditation from the PTA?
Okay, are you referring to the construction company?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So just to be clear, the engineering entity does not have to have a certificate of accreditation from the PTA.
Yes, sir, for construction company.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, good afternoon po. What will be your basis for um, for the required rate of capital of kung anong document po yung magiging basis para ma-check ng bank na met yung required minimum rate of capital.
The required rate of capital po shall be checked with the audited AFS submitted by the prospective.
Okay po ma'am. Yung sa audited financial statements po, so the whole shareholders equity po will be considered.
The paid up capital.
The paid up capital po. But can we appropriate the part or our retained earnings into capital using board resolution and in audited interim financial statement?
Yes.
Okay. So we can consider that po.
Yes.
Tapos po, dun sa attachment po sa bill docs, so yung board resolution and the interim audited financial statement certified by the external auditor will be attached after the audited financial statement. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, yung interim audited financial statement is only for purposes of capitalization.
Yes, po.
Kasi for purposes of compliance with clause 10.1.180, hindi ko accepted yung interim ASS.
In addition
kasi yung
So, as parang supporting na pinaka. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. For clarification lang po, is the performance security stated in item C, financial capability section, page 14, or the people bar, same as performance security stated in item 14, page 23?
Po. The financial capability stated in clause 10.1.1C of the instructions with respect pertains to eligibility documents that will be submitted during meeting. While clause 24 of the IDP pertains to performance security that will be posted by the winning bidder 30 calendar days from the signing of the PTMC. Said requirement is to guarantee faithful performance of the obligations as stipulated in the contract.
Okay, po, thank you.
I'll get another clarification, Mr. Chairman. Is the boss training a requirement for the safety officer?
Sir, item 9.2 of the terms of reference only requires 2 years relevant work experience for the safety officer.
No boss training.
There's no requirement for the boss training.
Another clarification, in the TOR, section 8.10.3, it mentioned about additional services that will be subjected to percentage government share or whatever, no? Civil services fee. Now, we would like to know what are these additional services that have not been included in the computation of the concession fee that will now be subjected to the variable fee?
Sir, the following services revenue are included in the computation of the minimum concession fee. Cargo handling services, passenger terminal building operation, rural terminal services, lease of commercial spaces.
Yeah, those are the basic services.
Yes, sir.
But what are those additional services that silent casino 10 or 8.10.3?
Yes, sir. That's why I'm explaining the inclusion in the minimum concession fee. All other services that will be offered in the future by the winning bidder shall be subject to the variable fee.
Would you consider watering, bunkering, something as additional services?
Sir, watering and bunkering and that other services included in the computation of minimum concession fee.
That's already
Yes, sir.
included in the computation
Yes, sir.
processing fee. So it will not be included in the computation of the variable fee.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we'd like to clarify, are all existing items or amenities in the port facilities considered as included in the PDMC contract for takeover by the PDMO? Example, generator, X-ray machine, overload detectors.
Sir, the X-ray machines, walk-through metal detectors, and other security equipment procured and installed by BPA remains with BPA, including the operations and maintenance thereof.
So, the maintenance would be for the PPA and not for the PDMO.
For those, again, for the security screening equipment procured and installed by the authority.
Thank you, ma'am. How about equipment like generator, which is not a security device? Is that under also the same condition as for the maintenance of the BPA?
Sa operator na po yun, sir.
Okay. So, if equipment such as a generator becomes unserviceable, it is the responsibility of the operator.
Yes, sir.
If there is a need to replace such equipment, like the generator, and the defective one needs to be sold, the item, who shall buy the new item to replace such defective items, and who shall benefit from the cost of the sale of the item?
It will be replaced with the CPC operations, BP and
But the disposal of the defective unit will be for the account of the PPA.
Yes, sir, we have a co-worker.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, would also clarify, I'd like to clarify on the required certifications from the Department of Labor. What certification is required to be submitted by the prospective bidder? Is it the DOLE certification of registration under PO 174 or the DOLE certification of no pending case?
Sir, are you referring to the omnibus one statement provision?
DOLE certification
Wala kasi tayo, sir, a requirement for the submission of DOLE certification. I think you are referring, sir, to the this form 02, which states the compliance with the DOLE. Submission of DOLE certification is not required. The only attachment of the omnibus one statement is a document showing proof of authorization. So please refer to item 2 of the omnibus one statement.
Thank you, ma'am. You can just clarify what do you mean by authorization you mentioned?
Yes, sir. It could be a secretary certificate authorizing sino po yung authorized official representative deliver, or for single or sole proprietor, it could be a SDA. But normally, yung board certification.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, for clarification for that, is the amount of port development cost, which will be basis of the amount of bid security, is the one which is being proposed by the bidder?
The scope of services subject of the bidding, as stated in item 3 of the terms of reference, is the management and operations of cargo handling, passenger, RORA, and other related services in the Port of Puerto Princesa. Port development was not included therein. Thus, the required concession or the minimum concession fee should be used as basis for purposes of computation of the bid security.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
May I further clarify that issue? Yung port development, dalawa ito eh. The one that is proposed by DPA and the other one that is proposed by the operator during the term of the contract. Ang tanong namin is, ano ang bid security? Anong basis namin sa bid security? Will it be the port development plan proposed by the PPA, or will it be the port development plan proposed by the contractor?
Sir, again, yung scope of services po natin na nakalagay sa terms of reference, wala pong nakalagay sa single port development. Kaya yung basis lang po for computation of the bid security would be the minimum concession fee.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on item 13.5, under the requirements of the bid documents to be submitted, does it mean that only the original copy should be signed and initialed on every page? And the other photocopies can just be without the original initial on each page?
Yes.
So just to clarify, we just need to have original signatures and original initials on the original copy. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we need to clarify your item 14, which is on how the bid documents are to be packaged and labeled. Can we request for
May I further clarify this question? I had the experience of bidding in the port of Dapitan. In the port of Dapitan, the BAC showed us what or how to package, sign and package the bid documents. So, okay, it was done. Then in the next meeting, in the court of Iloilo, what was approved in the Bitan was not observed in Iloilo. So therefore, there are several changes. Now, what is the pleasure of this bank on how the marking and the sealing of bids will be done? There are many methods on how to do it. So what is the pleasure of this bank? That's why we would like to request for a demonstration on how we will seal and mark our bids.
Mr. Chair, if I may, all the bid documents should be hardbound, bookbound, properly labeled with index tabs on the side. And as to the marking, the original bid documents should be marked as original technical bid. Okay, and then the same way, succeeding copy shall also be labeled as copy number, so copy 1, copy 2, and so on and so forth, technical bid. The same way goes for the financial bid. Each bid document should be properly sealed in an envelope, and then all of the technical bids, once they're already sealed, all of this shall again be sealed in one envelope. Same way goes for the financial bid. And then this will be simultaneously dropped inside the bid box.
For clarification, separate envelope yung sa technical and yung sa financial.
We request Mr. Chairman that a legal instruction on how it's going to be sealed and packaged be issued as a part of the bid bulletin for the guidance of the bidders.
Item 14, Mr. Chair.
It's already part of the talk. So the instructions are in item 14 of the invitation to bid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just want to ensure that we are compliant with the technical requirement of how it's sealed. Mr. Chairman, on 14.6, it's mentioned that the bid envelopes that are not properly sealed and marked shall not be rejected. We would like to clarify why do we include this kind of a provision when all the prior provisions require the strict specific instructions on binding, sealing.
Kasi may mga situations na may mga bidders na hindi sumusunod sa instructions. Like, nakaseal lahat ng technical envelope nyo into one envelope. Pero yung individual copies, hindi naman nakaseal. So, ang cases ginagawa namin, pinaka-acknowledge sa bidder na pinag-up niya yung bid niya in that condition. Pero hindi siya i-reject.
To clarify, the instructions with regards the condition of bid envelopes, not the hardbound, the requirement that it be bookbound, hardbound, with properly labeled with index tab. So sometimes what happens is they give you two separate envelopes. However, when we open it, they're not individually sealed. So that's allowed. But we prefer that you individually seal it to make sure that it's not tampered.
But, Mr. Chairman, in that case, that particular discussion, which does not explicitly appear in the DOR, should be included in the bulletin. Again, for clarification, because it's not on record here, that the kind of situation is acceptable to the bank.
What particular aspect is not clear?
Your Honor, what we mentioned that if it's not individually placed in an envelope,
That's what we're talking about. 14.6 talks about the envelopes. Yes, the condition of the video, if it's not properly sealed and marked as required in meeting, we ask for clarification. But this does not involve the document itself, so only the regards to packaging, wherein we can, we have certain leeways.
Which is our Vice Chairman. We just want to cover on,
We will take your suggestion and your advisement.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And in addition, it is reflected naman in the minutes.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, another clarification is, we have, the ITB mentions storage management as part of the responsibility of the operator. Do we follow PBA policies on storage, like 48 hours, etc.?
Yes, sir, we follow the EPA policy with regards to the free storage period allowed for the domestic and foreign cargoes, as well as the prescribed tariff for the domestic and foreign cargoes.
I see. Thank you. The other one connected to that question is rent. Do we follow rent? Because we are allowed to rent spaces in China, commercial spaces in China. Do we follow the rent guidelines?
Sir, since this is not a lease contract or a permit occupied contract, the rent policy does not apply. So you are allowed to prescribe lease.
Okay, thank you. There's another one. This is about the requirement for the country claim. May we know if the PPA has ventured into computing for the break-even volume of a country claim? Because I am afraid that an investment like a country claim, which will cost so many thousands of dollars, versus the projected container traffic of Puerto Princesa, may not be viable during the next 15 years. So that is my question. Has the BPA done any viability study on this project?
Mr. Chair, Femi. So I think there's a typo error on the Annex D of the DOR. Considering that pursuant to PPA Administrative Order 16-2019 of the amendment of PPA Administrative Order 03-2016 and 12-2018, the key phrase, graphic phrase, shall be provided by the PPA for clearly. Hence, it is suggested, it is respectfully suggested that the supplemental the bulletin be issued for consideration of the law.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, please take note of that.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I still have some questions to go. This is on productivity. The ITB, or rather the DOR, requires a productivity of 50 moves per hour on containers. I understand that API and ICPSI do not and cannot produce this 50 moves per hour. I've been talking to them recently, and they said that their maximum move is only about 35. So in a port like Puerto Princesa, where vessel cranes are utilized, I think even 35 may not be achieved. So we would like to request that siguro PPA should restudy this particular requirement, not only on containers, but also on dry bulk. A few minutes ago, I just submitted a study on the productivity of break bulk cargoes in Puerto Princesa, and it will not reach 100 metric tons per ton hour. it cannot even reach 20 because of the vessel configuration going there, which are mostly more than 30 years old. So again, we made our study was done through what we call the time and motion studies. I wonder whether PPE has done that in order to incorporate 100 metric tons as a requirement.
Thank you for your observation, but please take note that to discuss later on in a separate session, and should a change be needed, we will issue the necessary include it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
May I call?
Mr. Chairman, may I also be clarified on the requirement for trumping vessels 72 hours service and the 2-hour service time for Roro. In the case of Roro, are these pure Roro or combo Roro? Because a combo Roro would be carrying not only Roro cargo but also other general cargo like steel box, cement, and so forth. So it will be 2-hour service time be sufficient to unload also general cargo from Roro vessels.
Mr. Chair, if I may, can we request the PMO to respond to that request for clarification?
Okay, we request PM to respond to the query.
Paulit lang, medyo malabo, ang hindi masyadong klaro yung yung signal dito.
Take your question para pakinggan ni PM.
Hello? Hindi klaro yung yung sounds.
Dito sa TOR, may requirement dito, productivity commitment of 2 hours service time for Roro vessels. Ang tanong ko lang, is this pure Roro or combo? Kasi ang pure Roro will only be carrying rolling cargo. Wala yung general cargo na kasama, wala yung mga palletized na mga bigas, semento, etc. But in the case of
Yes.
In the case of Puerto Princesa, there are Roro vessels carrying also general cargo. So ang tanong is this purely Roro or combo?
Purely Roro yan. Purely Roro. Pag ang sample dito sa Tugo.
Okay, pure Roro. So the pure Roro vessels are covered.
Yes.
2 hours service time. Understood. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
The other clarification I would like to get is in 9.2 also, the productivity commitment on tramping vessels. Is this plain tramping vessels regardless of cargo? Paano kung ang cargo nito ay talagang break bulk na you have to carry it mano-mano? 72 hours.
Actually, this is the parameters, pero consider kasi dito kung depende sa pre-berthing meeting between the consignee and the shipper, depende sa pangarga. No? Commitment, BOC, preparation ng BOC, and this is just depende sa pangarga, okay?
Okay. So it's not the tramping vessel that is the question here. It is the cargo.
Yes, it is the cargo.
Okay, thank
Because
you very
the
much.
tramping vessel, you're not so sure kung anong pangarga nila.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask regarding the basis of the first year minimum concession fee. Considering the new tariff and the being the existing contractor, considering the new tariff and the existing volume, we could not reconcile the basis of the required first year minimum concession fee. So can we ask for
The minimum concession fees computed based on PPAO number 09/2019, which sets to determine the base figure for the computation of the minimum concession fee. The highest recorded and audited revenue of the authority for the last 5 years from the following sources shall be included. Government share paid by the cargo handling operator, concession fee or government share from passenger terminal building operation, roll and roll of terminal system, lease of passenger terminal building and other commercial spaces, parking, storage management, porterage services, water distribution service, waste management, shore reception facilities, and ancillary and other related services. In addition, the projected government share from the incremental revenue as a result of the application of the approved restructured cargo handling tariff for the subject port. Next is the projected revenue from new sources as a result of potential changes in port technology and port development. When you computed for the base figure, you will use as escalation the average percentage increase in the gross regional domestic product for that last 5 years, or 5%, whichever is higher.
Okay, po, thank you, ma'am. In the incremental revenue computed for the projected government share, um, what is the basis of the cargo throughput?
For this particular concession fee, the actual cargo throughput from July 2019 to June 2020 provided by the PMO. Then the difference between the existing and the approved tariff pursuant to PPAO 10/2019. And then we computed for the applicable government share, 10% or 20%, whichever is applicable.
Ma'am, we just want to be clarified because the average actual cargo throughput of Puerto Princesa for breakbulk cargoes and containerized cargoes is 600,000 metric tons and 76,000 TEUs for the containerized. So when we plot this and use the new proposed rate, we just cannot reconcile it with the minimum required concession fee. That's why we're asking if what cargo throughput was used in generating the incremental revenue.
Mr. Chair, may I request the able to provide for the statistics daily for July 2019 to June 2020, because there seems to be discrepancy between the ones provided by this person.
They're the current operator.
Sir?
Are they the current?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you submit your data to us and we will verify with the DMO, since I'm not sure if the DM has the numbers on their fingertips. So, submit the list of the data you have and we will verify it. Although if DM is there, can you hear us? DM? Can you hear me? DM, can you hear me? DM?
Yes, yes, sir.
Hello?
Pardon, please.
July 2019 to June 2020.
Do you have the cargo throughput from July 2019 to June 2020? Cargo throughput from July 2019 to June 2020.
Okay. Yes.
Ano yung number?
Maintindihan?
Okay. Can you submit the numbers you have to us, and we will verify if it is the correct computation. Since may formula naman tayo dyan, Katya, no?
Yes, sir.
So we'll verify, should we find your numbers to be correct and mali yung nakuha naming data, there will be a bulletin.
Okay, so.
Since this will require computation.
Okay, thank you.
Although we will verify your data as well. Okay, sige.
To whom can I submit the?
Sabi ko sa secretariat, attorney Sally.
Thank you for your.
Labo eh.
Mr. Chairman, if we'd like to ask on item 9.6 of the terms of reference, because it mentions of the forfeiture, there's a forfeiture clause on this particular item.
Item number again.
9.6, Mr. Chairman, of the terms of reference.
Okay, what's your question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to know if the purpose of this particular provision is a penalty in case of default or pre-termination by the PDFO. Because if it is, Mr. Chairman, we believe that the clause upon expiration of the contract should be deleted from this particular provision.
Sir Chair, if I may. Item 9.6 of the DOR is not a penalty provision. Said item pertains to the equipment of the PDMO, upon expiration, cancellation, or termination of the contract.
Yes, the one mentions the forfeiture in case of it's all the same conditions, whether it's pre-termination or cancel or expiration of the initial term. So if you would read through it, in short, we're saying that if it is just if the reason for the termination of the contract is either pre-termination or cancellation, then the provision on forfeiture would apply. But if it is the ordinary expiration without any violation on the part of the operator, then this provision should not be applicable.
Sir, the provision provides that all equipment of the PTMO being used at the port shall, upon expiration of the initial term of the PTMC, or in the event the PTMC is pre-terminated or cancelled, automatically become the property of the PTA without any obligation to reimburse for the same except for equipment acquired by the PTMO during the last 5 years prior to its termination or expiration of the PTMC. Ano po yung hindi
It's not, it's clear to us. However, we feel that if the reason for the forfeiture is only because it's the ordinary expiration of the initial term, then we believe that the forfeiture clause of the equipment should not apply. In other words, we're saying that we believe or we agree to the forfeiture of the equipment if the reason for the termination of the contract is pre-termination or cancellation due to the fault of the operator.
One moment, sir. Technical working group, this provision is directly lifted from the guidelines, the HO.
Yes, sir.
As such, I related for prospective bidder, considering that this provision comes from the HO, the bank does not have the authority to modify the same. So what we can do is we could consult with management regarding this. Kasi enough issue to it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. We will note your comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, may I? Okay. We will be insuring all the properties through the GSIS. And if there is an event that there's a typhoon, nasira yung pantalan, and then it was repaired by the operator, and later on the GSIS reimburses the damages, who will benefit from the reimbursement? Is it BPA or the operator who repaired the facilities?
Mr. Chair, ano po kasi generally, all insurable interest na meron si BPA, let's say sa operator or contractor, provide ko ng benefit the operator or contractor. Pero ano sa policy, the beneficiary is BPA, name the policy. Ngayon, ever po na ipinarefer niyo yun, kanya for ano, immediate pay, all yung po proceeds ng insurance will be reimbursed dito.
Will it go to
Ano po, antay sa operator.
operator?
From the process from GSI.
Or yung nag-repair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. There's another question here that I would like to ask. Who will, in the process of insuring the properties, sino mag-evaluate and what valuation will be used? Is it a PTA valuation or a third-party valuation? Something like that.
I think, sir, PPA properties are being appraised every 5 years. So the basis would be the appraisal made by an independent appraiser.
Appraisal of who?
An independent appraiser.
Independent.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to follow up on that question, sir. Mr. Chair, when can we get, where can we get the list of properties to be insured for Puerto Princesa? Can we request the list of properties so we can process?
May inventory na kasi yan, iyan mo ng mga list of properties nila. So, kung ano mo.
Sir Chair, Madam Vice, Malay, can we request the PMO to provide if they can provide the bidder with the inventory of our facilities that will be insured?
Miss Jen, we'll request a PM to provide the inventory of the port facilities. A PM, PM Olson, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Meron naman kaming submitted na na inventory. Actually, it is submitted to head office.
Miss Jen, may answer na po si PM.
Madam Vice. Sir Chair, We requested po for inventory of facilities to be insured from the PFO and they will provide.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian.
Sorry po, follow-up question, Mr. Chair. Yung list po ng inventories, kasama na po ba yung corresponding value ng mga properties?
Yung na-mention kanina ni Sir Russell, kasi may independent appraiser tayo. So, sir?
Actually, doon sa appraisals report ma'am, meron po, corresponding sum value actually. The replacement cost is the any accumulated depreciation, which is the sum value, the basis of the recording of the appraisal.
So, yun po ang gagamitin namin para dun sa insurance from GSIS.
Yes, I think yun din po yung ginagamit ko sa
Okay, sir. Thank you po. Mr. Chair, I would like to ask, will the concession fee subject to adjustment in cases of fortuitous events such as pandemic, drastic reduction of revenue, additional requirement for investments?
Mr. Chair, I think the question already pertains to contract implementation.
Yes, actually, itong coded na concession fee was revised because we considered yung effect ng COVID pandemic. Yung sa future, it depends siguro kung ano yung effect ng pandemic na yun, if it is really devastating, di ba? Then siguro subject to discussion.
There's nothing in the PTMC which takes into account future events which may affect the concession fee, correct? So your possible remedies would be under the provisions of contract under the civil code regarding fortuitous events. So what we're working with, with regards to the PTMC as approved, walang provision. So general provisions on contract.
Okay, but thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure, I'd like to clarify on bid form 03, which is a statement of completed, ongoing, and awarded, but not yet started for terminal management or card handling contracts within the last 5 years. Does the requirement, does it require attaching the notice of award and copy of contract applicable to both completed and ongoing projects?
Yes po.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, sorry po, na-skip po yung question regarding GSIS insurance. So it is not required pa po doon sa bid documents na to be submitted ng bidder po? No. Okay po, thank you. Thank you po.
Mr. Chairman, part of going back to an item that was already discussed relative to the applicability or applicability of the civil code provision on fortuitous events. Under normal circumstances, the provisions or the adjustments that should be made on concession fee with regard to fortuitous events would require time and sometimes even court proceedings. So what we're asking is there an avenue to abbreviate the proceedings, considering the concession fee is, it's not a small amount to operate for a particular year.
Technical working group, is there any provision in the PTMC as formulated?
Mr. Chair, based on the draft concession agreement that was reviewed by the OGCC. There's a provision for the force majeure, and if I recall, that is section 23, which is attached to the bidding documents. For 23.1b, notwithstanding the foregoing, the occurrence of any force majeure event shall not release the operator from any of its monetary obligation until so terminated with authority. So, yun lang po.
So, just to clarify, there is no mechanism for the PTA and operator to negotiate or ask for an adjustment on concession fee on icon on process such as noteworthy events.
Again, sir, sa contract implementation na po kasi siya. So, kayo, right?
The usual provisions of fortuitous event while the fortuitous event is still happening or the effects is still affecting the business development, parties are excused from fulfilling the obligation. However, when the situation improves and it is now the parties cannot perform their obligations, and then doon lang mag-attach yung obligations, di ba? But while sa contract naman, there is always this provision doon sa mga, di ba, mga settling of disputes or
Anyway, the last portion.
Okay. As stated, there are provisions, there's a section on force majeure, section 23 in the contract. Well, rather than give an opinion on the interpretation of the provisions, we suggest that we go over the provisions. Because it is the only thing covering your situation is here. So, there's a section with regards to the obligation of each party in the event of force majeure. So we just suggest that we go over it. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chair, is there any specific or prescribed forms to be used for other requirements stated in the checklist? Like yung business profile po, valid certificate, so wala. Valid certification of accreditation issued by BCA, yung curriculum vitae.
Yung certificate ng accreditation, may form na yun ng PTA, so wala na kayong gagawin, kundi i-copy siya, i-attach sa technical page nyo. Pero yung the rest, pag walang claim na valid na form dito sa bid documents, you can use any form.
Okay ba, Chair? Thank you po.
Mr. Chairman, I think that completes the clarifications that we mentioned. Thank you very much.
Let's proceed to the next representative. Okay,
May we ask from the representative of Asian Terminals Incorporated if they have any questions?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ian Backing from Asian Terminals. Am I coming in clear?
Yes, we can hear you, but we'd like to request that you turn on your video. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Thank you. Yes, actually, our query would be if we could be allowed more time to review the documents that were the bid documents to the project. We've done a bit of work, but we've yet to summarize all of the questions we have regarding the concession structure, the concession agreement structure, the time frame, and is that possible?
So at this time, you are unable to propound any questions.
Not at this stage, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Madam Secretary.
But a quick question though on the commitments. There's an Annex D that defines the equipment commitment. Are these minimum equipment to be deployed by the PTMO for Puerto Princesa, including a key crane?
Mr. Chair, okay.
Yes.
Sir Ian, minimum po yung requirement natin na nakalagay dun sa leading documents. However, for the gantry crane and the fleet crane, as agreed earlier, the bank will issue a supplemental bulletin for the purpose.
Can you repeat that last one?
Sir, for the requirement of gantry crane or fleet crane, as agreed earlier during the discussion, the bank will issue a supplemental bulletin for the purpose. Will be releasing the requirement of gantry crane.
All right. Okay. The other one would be the numbers would indicate the number and type of equipment to be deployed per year of the concession. So, I mean, let's say a forklift, it says 5 units. So there should always be 5 units every year. Or is this 5 units for the entire duration of the concession?
Hello, sir. Sir, the Annex B provides for the equipment at the time of the concession, at the start, sir. And then the requirement for the additional equipment will be provided in the port development plan that will be submitted by the bidder, which includes the equipment procurement and maintenance program.
Okay. All right. So any replacement program shall be in the bid documents, in the technical study.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions?
By the way, on the tariff that is attached, I notice it's a different tariff from the prevailing tariff of Puerto Princesa. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
There's also no arrastre in the new tariff. Is that an overlooked, or there's really not going to be an arrastre for handling break bulk or containers?
Sir, the rate is already includes the master.
So it's all under stevedoring now. Okay. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
May we know if representatives from onshore have questions or clarification?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Just a clarification on page 13, which is with regards to the pickup. Is it really a requirement for all the bidders?
Kung merong mga infrastructure, necessarily includes yung pickup license, either from the bidder itself or yung sa nominated party niya.
Okay. Another question, Mr. Chair. With regards to the page 14, prospective bidder shall deposit in cash in favor of a paid amount equal to the minimum concession fee of the port subject for bidding for the first. Do we need to deposit this, deposit it before the bidding or after sign?
Yes, sir, before the meeting po.
Part siya ng eligibility requirement in financial capacity. Kaya before the bid, dapat naka-attach yung proof of deposit mo doon sa technical document.
At least na-clarify sa akin. Last question, Mr. Chair. Regarding clarification on page 15, letter F. Bidder intended working capital for terminal operation, which shall not be lower than the prescribed by the authority. How do we have a form for this?
Sir, the intended working capital can be computed, sir, using your audited financial statement. It's a current assets that's current liabilities, sir. And doon po sa kung how much yung intended working capital nyo, wala pong form, sir. So you can just include it in, your any form, any kind of form, sir.
So any kind of form. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Secretary, as scheduled, when is the date of opening? That for submission and opening?
Please be informed that the scheduled submission and opening of bids for the Port Terminal Management Contract for Port of Puerto Princesa is on November 24, 2020. The deadline for submission of bids is at 1 p.m., while the opening of bids is at 2 p.m.
Okay. Please monitor if there's any bid bulletin to be issued by the BAC regarding this. So it's possible as of now, the schedule stands, but if should a change to require a bid bulletin to be issued. Okay. This ends the pre-bid conference portion of our agenda. For the information of the BAC members, the Office of the President has issued a memo suspending work tomorrow, so we will no longer be holding our scheduled meeting tomorrow. So I notice will be publication din yan. So an additional notice will be issued by the Secretary. So hindi na namin ano yung requirement. Okay. Secretary, anything else?
No, Mr. Chair.
There being none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.